What is up, Pacer Nation? Welcome back to another episode here of your go-to Pacers podcast, Setting the Pace, brought to you by the great folks over at Chat BCC, part of the Setting the Pace group chat. If you have not downloaded the app, please do us a favor, go download Chat BCC and join the Setting the Pace group chat. You can find the link for that in the description of this podcast. But today we are here to preview the biggest game in Indiana sports since the 2006 AFC Championship when the Indianapolis Colts took down Tom Brady and the New England Patriots in Lucas Oil Stadium. And here to talk with me about this upcoming game, Game 6, is a man that just spent the past 5 days here. He just returned home. The house that Cammy built. Cammy is back. Cammy, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. Like I said to you before the record, I'm anxious. But I had a great time in Indiana. Everybody was great. The food was great. The atmosphere was fantastic. And I'm ready to close this thing out tomorrow.
Absolutely. But before we get to the preview, I do want to talk about your trip because you were there for Game 3 and Game 4, and then you stayed for the watch party for Game 5. So you saw one win, you saw two losses, but talk to me a little bit about just the way that, Indiana was compared to where you're at. I think you're in Atlanta, right?
Yes.
So talk to me about the difference between Indiana and Atlanta, what you like about the arena, that kind of stuff.
Man, I have to say, it feels like in Indiana, it feels like everybody's family, you know? And every time, as soon as I touched down from the plane, talking to a lot of Pacers fans, talking to a lot of Pacers fans in the airport, heading to my hotel, heading to the 500. Everybody was really nice, super cordial. Told them, hey, I'm from Atlanta. This is my first time in Indy. I've been a Pacers fan since 2012. Everybody was like, oh yeah, that's great. I got a few welcome homes, which was really nice. Everybody was great. Even the drunk people at the 500, they were manageable levels of drunkenness. I can handle that.
How was the 500?
The 500 was pretty cool. Actually, I didn't plan to go initially because I was like, I'm probably gonna be tired when I get off the plane. I might sleep in a little bit. But Simba, y'all know Simba,
Yep.
right? Simba actually DM'd me. He said, "Do you want to go to the 500? I have my tickets, but I'm not gonna be able to go, and I don't want them to go to waste." So he sent me his ticket. I immediately got a taxi to the 500, found my way in. It was pretty easy. Not as hard as people said it was. It was pretty easy. Got my way in, watched it on the screens, mingled with everybody, fist bumped a lot of Pacers fans. It was fun. It's definitely not something I do every year, but as a one-time thing to say I did it, it was pretty
Yeah.
cool. Absolutely, it was pretty cool.
Well, I'll tell you this. I've never been to the 500 and I've been here my whole life. So you're already one step ahead of me. I mean,
There you go.
I did watch it on TV at the end of it just to see who was going to win. But other than that, I'm pretty much just Pacer focused, and that's where I'm at right now. So obviously a lot of fun stuff here. But you did put that you were going to a few different of the local establishments here. Number
Yeah.
one, Long's Bakery. And now this I wouldn't say it's a local establishment because they're from Wisconsin, but it is Culver's. And I saw your post. There was no cheese curds in the picture, no burger,
I went
but you said
twice.
the cheese curds were on the side, and I think you said you went back to get a burger.
Yeah, I went the first time because every time this is my thing. Every time I go to a fast food establishment, the first thing I try is their chicken sandwich. That's my main thing. No matter where it is, I always have to try the chicken sandwich because my thing is if you can make a decent chicken sandwich, you can make decent food. So I
Okay.
tried that out and it passed the test. And the cheese curds were pretty good too. The smoothie was my favorite part, honestly. The watermelon and mango mix, I had it, it was pretty good, pretty
Okay.
good. Yeah,
So what
yeah.
would you
And then I
rate
went.
Culver's?
Well, the first time I had it, I'd rated around a 9. When I came back last night after the watch party, I went and got the burger, and that was around a 9.5. It's probably the best fast food burger I've had. The first fast food burger that I felt was decently seasoned. It didn't feel like I was just eating, beef with nothing, no substance. It
Yeah.
was pretty good. It
Okay.
was
Have you been
pretty
to Shake
good.
Shack before?
I have not.
Okay. Maybe next time
That
you're
that
in Indy, you can try that place. It's not too far from the arena. I think it's on Pennsylvania, New York area. So
okay.
try that out. I think they have a better burger than Culver's, but I do think Culver's has a good burger. So,
Pretty good, pretty good.
I mean, if it's a 9.5, it's hard to beat, right? So, other than that, Long's Bakery. Talk to me about that. What'd you think?
Pretty good, pretty good. I mean, the place that I went to, there was a Long's Bakery over there, and there was a crispy crunchy chicken over there.
Okay.
And what I like best about crispy crunchy chicken is that it's halal. So went from Long's Bakery. It was like 12 donuts for 11, 12 bucks. What was so funny is I went up there, gave them my money, and then she looked at me. She said, "You're gonna pick, or you want me to pick?" I said, "No, you pick." I've never done this before. You pick. And she gave me the 12 that she said were the best ones. The peanut butter and jelly one was the best.
Okay.
That's the best one. And then I headed to Crispy Crunchy Chicken, got myself a four-piece tenders with a mac and cheese. That was really good. And I spent that night, just chilling playing 2K12.
You have any clogged arteries after all those donuts and cheese that you ate?
No, no, no. I said this to somebody. I'm pretty good at disciplining myself. I have like 2 meals a day, and I make sure that if I have a plan to go eat somewhere, I don't eat for the like until that point,
Okay.
right? So when I yeah, so when I went to Long's, I didn't eat breakfast that day. I
Okay.
didn't eat breakfast that day. Yeah,
Did you
and
eat
then
all
I
12
also had the
donuts?
Mex. Yeah, I did not eat all 12 donuts. I
Okay.
ate four. I had four. I
Okay.
brought the rest back with me. They're over there. They're over there.
Okay.
The rest were over
I was
there.
about to
Yeah.
say 12 donuts is a lot, Cammy.
I did not eat 12. I ate four and I had one today when I came back.
So you've had five total.
Yes, five. I had four
Okay.
at
So
Indy, one right here.
you're gonna need to eat another one for tomorrow because we're on game six. Okay.
I'll probably eat one before the game, and if we win, I'll eat a celebratory one after the game.
Okay. There we go. And you'll still have five
Yep.
left over before we get to the finals. So
There you go.
look at that. All right. Well, that's interesting, Cammy. I appreciate you giving us a little bit of a your trip to Indy. That's always fun. And now the biggest game, like I said earlier, in Indiana sports history, probably since the 2006 AFC Championship. You can maybe say the 2009 Super Bowl when the Colts ended up losing that one to the Saints, but still in Indianapolis. I mean, this is a massive game, and for the first time
And
in a
I and,
long
and,
time.
and I mean the biggest Pacers game since 2000 in
Oh
25
yeah,
years, would you say?
yeah. Since
Yeah.
they beat the Knicks in the Garden to
Yes.
get
Mm.
to the NBA Finals,
You
right?
see the parallels. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a big thing here, and they've had some success in some game sixes against the Knicks, right? Like we just said for 2000, the one where Carmelo Anthony got
Hmm.
blocked by Roy
Right.
Hibbert. I mean,
Right.
come on now. This is setting up perfectly here, and that game was
Last
close.
year,
Oh,
last
last year was
year,
a game seven though, but they won game six to force a game
well,
seven.
we won game six too. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we won that game six. When the Knicks were all black to our arena, I remember that when I just went, please, please don't let it end like this. Don't let it end like this. And it didn't. I'm pretty sure opposing teams are like 0 of 500 when they walk into the arena wearing all black. So I'm
Uh-huh.
glad we got to continue that tradition.
Le- I don't know if it was brought up or not, but I'm pretty sure Tyrese Halliburton in game five wore his Undertaker shoes again.
Maybe we got to put those to the side for now. Do it like the Reggie shirt. Bring it out after the game.
Yeah, because he did wear his Triple H shoes, the DX shoes that he wore against the Bucks, right?
Yeah.
Remember that when he hit the game winner
Mhm.
over Giannis, Reggie on the call, he wore those in Game Four when Triple H was there, and so I
Right.
just happened to notice he had on the purple shoes for Game Five when he was walking onto the court, and I was like, I think those are the Undertaker shoes that he wore against the Bucks in Game Five when they put him,
Yeah.
put him out. So interesting choice there by Tyrese. We'll see if he pulls out the Undertaker shoes once again for Game Six. But as we get ready for Game Six after watching what happened in Game 5 in New York, what is your biggest area of concern for this team?
I mean, here's the thing. I'm a believer in the law of averages. So my main thing is they can't shoot that bad again. But at the same time, if they play how they did, then they will shoot that bad again.
Yeah.
They will. And how many turnovers did we have as a team? We had 20 turnovers as a team. And how many turnovers yeah, the Knicks had 15, we had 20.
Yeah.
And a lot of those turnovers were key, like when Mitchell Robinson had Miles in the baseline, and Tyrese and Pascal were right there calling for the ball. He stepped out of bounds. There were a few travels that were called. Just sloppy basketball.
Yeah.
Sloppy basketball. Found myself at the watch party yelling at him like, "Pass the ball! Pass the ball!"
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
some point, throwing up a two-handed no-look pass would be better. It's gonna get to somebody's hands,
Yeah.
you know. Like, what are you doing, pivoting everywhere? You're gonna step out of bounds,
Yeah. Yeah. It
And then
was rough,
also,
man. It was
yeah,
a
be
rough game.
yeah. And shout out to Chris Denary. That's my guy. It's my favorite announcer. But man, watching him try to hype up the crowd when the third quarter game was so depressing. It was so depressing, man.
I can't believe they were only down 11 going into the half, as bad as they played,
Yeah.
right? Like
As bad as we played.
yeah. I mean, the starters were terrible. Your bench brought you some life, right? Obviously,
Shout
Jarris
out
got some
Ben.
minutes and played. Mathurin was awesome with 23 points and 9 rebounds. TJ even hit a three in the game. So it's like, It's just interesting because if you go back and watch, it's just like this game felt like the Pacers were not interested at all. And this was probably the worst game they've played all postseason by far, but probably going back even maybe to December, one of the worst games we've seen from this team. So I would be
Yeah,
shocked if they play at this level again. I think they know what's at stake and I think they're going to be ready for it. I saw you posted a video or a picture of Tyrese walking off the floor after game 5 with a little smirk on his
smiling.
face. What do you think that means?
Well, I hope it means I know I messed up. I'll be better next game. I really hope it means they don't know what they just woke up. That's what I hope it means.
Yeah.
I really hope that's what it means because you remember Shea had that same expression after the Thunder went down 2-1 and look what he did there. Look
Yeah.
what he did there. I
Yeah.
think if Tyrese can bring out some of that, I got none. Quote from him after Game 6 last year: "I got nothing to lose. Empty the clip." I'm sure you remember that interview. I got
Yeah.
nothing to lose. Empty the clip. I need that. I need that out of him. And I think he always comes through in these moments. Remember Game 7 in the Garden? He went off. This is a Game 6. This is a chance to clinch the NBA Finals in front of your own fans, in front of the people who rep you through thick and thin.
Yeah.
I really hope that smile was a "I got y'all." I really hope so.
Yeah, I kind of wondered too if he figured something that the Knicks were doing out and how they were trying to guard him because they did change some things up. I know that I've heard a lot of people that have kind of talked about it just said that, oh, they just kind of took him out of the game. He didn't really try, it was just like whatever. But I think they were doing some things to try to change the looks up. They were guarding him, at a further
94.
distance, right? Like not the full 94, but they were picking him up earlier and trying to get things going. And one of the big things to me that I noticed too, I think the great Caitlin Cooper pointed this out as well on her podcast today with Samson Folk, was the way that they've been utilizing Andrew Nembhard as of late. Because look, whenever they went into that big line of the Knicks, when they took Josh Hart out, put Mitchell Robinson in, OG Anunoby has been the primary defender for Andrew Nembhard, which now makes it more difficult for Nembhard to kind of initiate offense when you've got probably their best perimeter defender guarding him. Because I think OG Anunoby is a better defender than Mikal Bridges, right? So
Yeah, he is.
because of Andrew not being able to be such a great shooter and not shooting the ball well and not having confidence to shoot right now, it's allowing OG to kind of be a roamer and not have to pay too much attention to a guy like Andrew Nembhard saying, "We'll let you beat us, but I'm going to help off here." So if Pascal gets a one-on-one with Cat or he's driving, I can slide over and double team. So this is where Andrew Nembhard, in my opinion, is going to have to really start knocking down these three-point shots if he's open and make OG guard him. And I think the Pacers really want to get playing fast and potentially get Mitchell Robinson off the floor because I think when Mitch Rob's off the floor, they've got a lot better chance of attacking the mismatches.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing you said about Andrew, I think his game hinges a lot on his confidence
Yep.
because we've seen him have heaters on heaters. When he sees one goes in, when he sees one go in, he sees all of them go in. But this series, ever since really game two, and I remember this play, it was game three. I think we had 6/10 of a second left on the shot clock. It was a baseline out of bounds on our, I think it was the third quarter, baseline out of bounds on our basket. We threw a inbound to Andrew right next to the rim. If you remember this, he threw up like a Tony Parker push shot. Did not, it barely hit the rim. It barely hit the rim. If you
Yeah.
remember that, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was depressing. And I don't know. And he's had this problem for years now. He's great at getting to the rim, but that finish, you don't know. It's $1 million move, 10-cent finish. Gets to the rim, he puts up the finger roll and it just rims off. He puts too much on it. He
Yeah.
always puts too much on it. It's like he's overthinking it. And this is why I see all these people saying, well, Andrew Nembhard, incredible playoff riser. It's not fair. We know him. We know how he likes to play. We know how much it affects his mental. And I mean, he's probably rattled. I mean, he's what, a second round pick. This is his third year, I believe,
Third
third year in the
season.
league.
Yep.
Yeah, third season in the league, and he's a starter on a potential finals team,
Yeah.
and he's missing open shots. It's a bad sign, but at the same time, you got to start hitting those, man. If
Yeah.
they're sagging off on you, to quote Chris Smoove, if you sag off, your swag's off. You got to hit that three. You got to hit that three,
Yeah.
man, and you got a really nice jump shot, really nice form. Put it up and just keep shooting, man. Please keep shooting. We need you tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, if OG Anunoby wants to go under the screen, right, and allow him to have that shot, I think he's got to pull up and take it, especially from distance, right? Because if he hits one or two, now OG has to guard him up, and then he can beat him off the dribble. or at least,
And then there are guys open. And then there are guys
right.
open. You got Pascal on a one-on-one in the post.
Yep. It just, it's a trickle down effect. It's one of those things where it's like, you know exactly what needs to be done. And I'm really curious to see what you got on your hat there. Who signed it?
James Johnson. Shout out James Johnson.
Okay.
I wear
I
this
love
hat
it.
everywhere I go.
Yeah, you got the enforcer behind you, right? So that's great
There
to
you
see.
go.
Yeah, I just
Hey,
think though,
James Johnson and Artest. So
there we
nobody
go.
can mess with me.
Did
Nobody
that one
can
get
mess with me.
autographed too?
That one did not get autographed, and I'm kind of glad because I want to keep wearing this.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, it's a pretty sick jersey. The pinstripes are nice.
Yes, sir.
I
Yes,
wish the
sir.
pinstripes would come back, not gonna lie.
I wish.
But yeah, just getting back to this game, I think Tyrese obviously is kind of the head of the snake. And when he continues to just not be aggressive, it does impact the way this team plays. And I don't care how tough New York guards him, he's going to have to figure out a way to get through that because we've seen Tyrese figure things out. And like you said, with that smile when he was walking off the court, like, I got you guys, don't worry. He said this so many times after bad games. He's like, I gotta be better. It was on me this game. I got to figure things out. And I'll be better the next game. And he usually does come out and play better.
Yeah.
But I'm getting kind of sick and tired of him doing this, where it's
Yeah.
great one game, mediocre the next game.
Can't afford that against OKC. Can't afford that against
No,
OKC.
I mean, you can't afford that against New York. Come on now.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, you have to be very locked in. And I feel like, honestly, this comes down to the stars showing up in game six because Pascal
Mm.
Siakam was fantastic in game two. I feel like he was pretty good in game three. I'm kind of forgetting. I think the Pacers just struggled in that game altogether. Maybe he was a little bit quieter in that game. But game four, he was phenomenal, 30 points, and probably the quietest 30 points that we've seen from Pascal this year. I just think that he's got it in him to be very effective. And I think if they're going to put OG on Nembhard, like we just talked about, and he's got Towns on him, he's got to make Towns pay because number one, he can get Towns in foul trouble. I think he's got a herky jerky enough game to shoot over him and get to the basket. So, Towns is a liability defensively, and I think Pascal can get his own. I don't want to hear Stan Van Gundy talking about, oh, over his left shoulder, he can't hit any shots. No, I think that he can. I just think that we need him locked in and playing at spicy P level and not, mild P.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And with the thing that Stan said, a lot of those looks were good. A lot of those looks were good. Those were layups that he was missing.
Yeah.
And again, if I see layups not falling, then that's fine because the layups will start falling. It's frustrating in the moment, but afterwards it's a sigh of relief because if you give the guy five layups, he's not gonna miss four like he did last game. You
Yeah.
know, with that like those gangly arms that he has, throwing up right there, right next to the rim, kiss it off the glass. He's not going to miss that next game. I truly don't think he's going to miss that. And the thing I like with Pascal, I mean, like you said, if he has Cat on him, attack him. He's got asthma. Attack him. Attack him. You know, just go at him. The spin, step back, the hesitation, all that. Get to the rim. The guy's knees, Cat's knees are not 100%. Attack him. Make him move laterally.
Yeah.
You know?
What do you think it is about the Knicks second unit that's been able to have success? And this is the group where they've had OG and Cat out there with Miles McBride, Landry Shamet, and DeLon Wright. They've had some really good success the last couple of games. Why can't the Pacers take advantage of that, especially when you've got Jalen Brunson on the bench?
First of all, Deuce McBride is a bucket. I'll say that right now. Deuce McBride is a beast. I've said this for years. And every time he checks in the game, I'm like, oh, man, I make sure to tell the person next to me, this guy's a bucket. Don't be surprised if he walls off like three or four in a row.
Yeah.
His jump shot is just so pure. He's got a good ISO game, and he's been butter. He especially butter last game. But with last game, when they subbed in like Shamit and Achua, especially Achua, when he had that and one, that's when I was like, okay, this is unwinnable. This is a home crowd boost, and I truly believe New York's bench guys, especially the bench guys, play better at home. Cause I don't think you'd see Achua do that I don't think you'd see Achua do that in Indy. If you remember that one game, that I think 15-point comeback that New York had last regular season.
Mm-hmm.
It was last regular season when Tyrese was still on the minutes restriction, right? I
Yep.
think Precious had like 15 boards and he had like 20 points and he was just feeding off of that energy from the MSG crowd. And even like Shamit, he was getting chance. I never thought I'd see Landry Shamit get chance in 2025, but he was hitting them. He was causing turnovers, and it's a road and home thing because our guys have the same thing to a bigger extent. I'd be lying if I told you TJ and Obi and even Ben didn't play better when they were at home.
Yeah.
Obi and TJ are very big home players, and that's what I'm hoping comes out tomorrow. But with that New York bench, if that bench is gonna be the ones catapulting them to, that's not happening again. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go out on a limb and say that's not happening again. I think Deuce is gonna get his, but I don't think that's gonna happen again. So if we're letting their bench beat us in one game, it's fine. But man, we gotta hound down on them tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think the honestly, like the blessing in disguise from game three that got the Pacers that early 20-point lead before they ended up blowing that game with Cat's 20-point fourth quarter was the fact that Deuce McBride got 3 fouls in like a minute, right?
Yeah.
Like just really stupid decisions by him. And since then, he's really been able to stay out of foul trouble, not do anything dumb like
Fuck
that.
it.
But I agree with you. Like that guy is so, like he's
Fuck it.
fearless. He's fearless. And
Smooth.
as soon as he catches the ball, like not afraid to pull the three, and he'll make it if you give him any space, and he can drive to the basket. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's quick, and then defensively is in your grill. Like I'm not here to just like get excited or whatever about Deuce McBride, but I mean, the way he plays is the reason why I
He
picked him
has
for
a
sixth
fun
man of the year.
game. He has a fun game. He has a
Yeah.
very fun game.
Yeah, I mean Tibbs probably could lean on him a little bit more. And I even said after they won game three, I would have pulled Mitch out of the starting five and put Deuce in there just to keep Indiana on their
Yeah.
toes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what Knicks fans were saying. They were saying the best option was to pull Josh Hart from the starting lineup and play Deuce at the two to pull a five out.
Yep. Yeah, it would have made Tyrese have to guard a little bit more, right? And I think
Hmm.
Tyrese has been getting away with guarding Mikal Bridges. I think in the last game we saw them go a little bit more to Mikal offensively, which means Tyrese is going to have to figure things out. But one thing I brought up on the podcast that was on our recap podcast with Fachi, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but it felt like almost every time the Knicks wanted to set a screen, the Pacers switched, and it was like Miles Turner out in the open trying to guard Jalen Brunson, or even Tyrese at times, or anybody other than Neesmith or Ben Shepherd, whoever was his primary defender, got switched on to him. So I was just a little bit perplexed by the ability, like the switching factor, like why they did it so much. Did you notice that? Did you notice that they were switching a lot? Did you think it was a dumb decision,
Yeah.
or you think it was the right decision?
Well, I mean, every time I think I saw Miles get switched on to Brunson like three times last night, and every time I saw him get switched on, I saw Brunson had a little pep in his step. I see, you know what that means? Christmas time.
Yeah.
Free gift right there. Started sizing him up, hitting that jumper. But yeah, man, stop the switching.
Yeah.
It's just man, like I
Well, see, the
think
pep in the
I think
step is
we
supposed to be on setting the pace exclusively. We're not supposed to be giving the Knicks any pep in the step, right? Because Facci always talks about the pep in the step after the
well,
Pacers win. So we can't
well,
be
well
giving
we
the
gotta
Knicks
take
any
it
pep
from
in the
them.
step. Yeah, they can.
We
No, they
gotta
can't
take it
have
from them
ours.
tomorrow. They can't do this to us. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, my goodness. I
But
mean, I'm just really, really, really nervous about the way that Towns and Brunson just kind of had their way with Indiana in Game Five. I'm curious
yeah.
how they can counter that and try to keep them from being so effective offensively.
I mean, I think we found a little bit of a hidden gem off the bench. Well, not a hidden gem if you've been watching the Pacers, but a bit of a hidden gem to others. I think Jarris did a pretty decent job on Brunson last night. I think he did a pretty decent job when he forced him to the ground, and I think he forced the jump ball, right? It
Yep.
was he did pretty solid, and I think I like about Jarris is that he's a hustle guy. And I remember watching Summer League last year, Summer League, and I went, why? I think I told you about this. Why are you dribbling the? Why are you bringing the ball off the floor? Why are you playing point guard? You should be doing stuff that you have to do in the game, right? Because he
Yeah.
wasn't really working on his defense last Summer League. But now it's like he's getting there. He's
Hmm.
getting there, and I truly don't think he can shut down Brunson because I think that's a tall task. I don't think anybody can shut down Brunson. But he can go in, give you a good 12 minutes. He hit a couple threes, I think, last game too. I think this is the time where you start putting bigger bodies on Brunson, guys who can move around a little bit. That's truly what I think. Get guys who can move around laterally, move their feet, because Obi on the perimeter is it's a hard sight to watch.
Yeah.
I've never seen somebody who's that athletically gifted, vertically athletically gifted, be so horizontally athletically challenged. The guy can't move his feet to save his life, unfortunately.
And he can't block a shot to save his life, which makes no
Can't
sense.
every fake, every single fake.
Yeah, I just don't understand why he doesn't at least have some rim presence, right? Because he's so
Yeah.
gifted at, like you said, the vertical jump. Like he can get up, like he can touch, 14-foot height with his hand. Like all you have to do is get up and contest a shot, but he never does. It's almost like he like jumps away, tries to avoid contact. Like I saw in one game, I think it might have been game one or game two, where he just grabbed the ball out of the net versus trying to contest a shot. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, exactly.
this is not
You
the
yeah.
you're too talented to do that. But yeah,
Yeah.
what'd you think about Ben Matherin's defense on Jalen Brunson in game five?
Um I think his defense was all. I think his defense was all right. I think Ben was our best player last night, and I don't think anybody would disagree. I
No, he
think
was
Ben was
awesome.
he was easily our best player. And what I like the bet and what I like about Ben is now he's in his element. You
Yeah.
know, Ben is a very situational player, and I don't mean that as an insult. I think you know what I mean here. He needs to get in his element. He needs to see a few fall. He needs to get a trust from his coach, and he's gotten that the past few games. I don't know if you remember Game 4 when he was talking to DeLon Wright. He said, "Hey, how many teams you played for?" And then Brunson said,
Is that what he said
just
to
play
him?
basketball." Yeah, he said, "How many teams did you play for?" And
I
and
didn't
then
see
Jalen just
that.
said, "Yeah." Jalen said, "Just play ball, man." And I mean, if you remember that was like the fifth game of the season against Boston when
Yeah.
he led us to that win. He was hitting threes, he was talking trash, he was flexing his muscle a little bit. And the thing I like most about Ben is that he is maybe the only guy on our team who I trust to consistently draw fouls.
Yeah.
And I mean, you saw yesterday he had 9 free throws and he made all of them. Ben and Aaron are the only guys I really trust at the free throw line. I mean, Pascal was what 4 of 8 from the line last night, and he's been struggling with his free throws all ever since he got here to Indiana.
Yeah.
Ever since he got here, he's been struggling. But Ben, I mean, there's a guy you got a guy who could get to the line and make his free throws. Because at that point, if you can't make your free throws, why are you getting to the line? Why are
Right.
you going to get the other team in foul trouble? Like, what's the point? You got to get those free shots, and that's what Ben has been doing. So I think he's going to be key. He earned that 6 man spot for Game 6. I think he's undoubtedly earned it. I think he should be the first man off the bench in Game 6. I think he should be let loose because they didn't have an answer for him last game. They really didn't. 6 of 10 from the field, 2 of 4 from deep, 9 of 9 from the free throw line. He was good.
Yeah.
Let him get his game off. I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's going to depend on how Aaron Neesmith is doing, health wise with his ankle. Hopefully, it's nothing
Yes.
too bad. Hopefully, he can play through it because he was kind of out of the lineup quick in game five. I think he played 3 minutes before he was subbed out for Ben Shepherd. Ben Shepherd then allowed Jalen Brunson to go on like an 8-0 run by himself, like just was absolutely cooking him. And then they finally were like, okay, we got to get Shepherd off of him. We got to make another, adjustment. And they've been kind of reluctant to put Nembhard on him. Have you noticed that? They've
Yes.
they've been playing more so like Mathurin or Shep. Obviously, Neesmith. It's like anybody, Andrew's kind of become like the fourth option on him, which I think is kind of interesting. I don't dislike the way Ben guards Brunson when he doesn't have to go through screen navigation. I just feel like when he gets hung up on a screen, he's so quick to switch, and I think that can be
Yes.
problematic. Where you can see Aaron get skinny, right, and get around it and just keep with him and
Yeah.
force, kind of force him out a little bit with a little bit more physical contact
Yes.
defensively, where I don't think Ben's necessarily giving much resistance that way, nor does he have the defensive reputation that Aaron Neesmith has, where the officials are going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So
Yes.
I do think that does play a factor, but I think that Matherin's going to have to be impactful once again because he can feed off this home crowd too. Like I don't think it really matters what arena he's in, but this crowd loves him and they want to see
Yeah.
him do well. And I think that if he can get things going early and just kind of help continue putting pressure on the Knicks, that is going to be what I think is a key component of how they win this game.
Yeah, I'm not ready to give up on him. I'm not by any means. Never. I'm not ready to give up on him because if you remember Tyrese's podcast with Paul George that he did 2 years ago when he was talking about how him and Ben came up and he told Ben like, "Hey, you and me are the future of this team. We got to do this together." What more would we love better than for them to get to the finals together?
Yeah.
That he needs that confidence back. He needs Tyrese to take him around his shoulder and say, "Hey, if you get open, I'll give you the ball. If you catch that ball in that mellow like high post spot where you can pivot, you go to work. Go to work, man. That one dribble jab pull up, let it happen, man. Let it fly. Again, I'd rather him go 0 for 18 than 0 for 9 because keep shooting, man. Keep shooting. Don't lose that confidence because Ben Mathurin without confidence is nobody. He's nobody.
Yeah.
Ben Mathurin with confidence, Ben Mathurin with confidence is a that's a man amongst boys right there.
Let me ask you a serious question here. Have we ever seen Ben Mathurin without confidence?
Um,
This man's got a lot of swag to him.
he has a lot of swag to him. I need him to show that tomorrow, though.
Yeah.
I need him to show that. Take these last two games and run with him. Actually, have we seen him without confidence? Yes. Ever since that ejection. Ever since that ejection in
Yeah.
game three, he's been playing timid. He's been playing timid, and we've seen it. He hasn't been playing his game, especially at the start of the Knicks series. Then in games 1 through 3, he just wasn't playing his game.
Yeah.
Part of it was the lineups that he was in, but he was just trying to fit in too much. Man, you might be the third best pure scoring option on his team. Debatably maybe the second best to just go get a bucket. Go get a bucket, man. Please go get a bucket. We need it tomorrow.
Yeah, I feel like Shep kind of outplayed him in games one and games two and kind of got that spot back because Shep was a huge part of that comeback in game one and then game
Yes.
two as well. Played pretty good defense, and Mathurin kind of found himself relegated to the 10th man in the rotation. But now you see Mathurin kind of like, okay, this is what I was able to do the whole time last year, too, that you guys were missing so much in the playoffs is the ability to just go out there and get a basket.
Exactly.
And I do think that if Nembhard continues to struggle from the field, it might be worth closing at times with Mathurin and Neesmith and Turner and Halliburton and Siakam over Nembhard if the Knicks want to go bigger, right? Where OG is guarding Andrew Nembhard. Because if they try to put OG on Mathurin, he leaves him open. Like Mathurin's going to make him pay. I feel more
Mm.
confident right now in Mathurin's offensive abilities to get to the basket than Nembhard's. But the moment I say that, Nembhard's going to break out soon. Like that is just one of those things where it does feel like Nembhard is on the verge figuring something out and the Pacers making an adjustment to where he can impact the game, potentially get OG in foul trouble, things like that. I have confidence that Nembhard is going to break free soon.
It's mental. It really is. It's just mental. Cause man, take those open layups, put a little mustard on them. Take a little mustard off of them if you need to. Just you're right there. I think he's 6'5". I think he's had maybe two dunks in his whole career. Maybe get a third one tomorrow. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
just go up there, put it up there. Just don't be shy about it and don't be aggressive about it. If you get a layup, take the layup. If you get that what I like to call the Sam Cassell bump fade, when you drive to the basket hard, get that bump, shoot that fade. That's I've said before his game reminds me of Sam Cassell quite a bit. I said it to Tony East. I've said it to a few people. His game reminds me of Sam Cassell. I don't know if you've seen that in his game. But I see a lot of Sam
Yeah.
Cassell in him with how he uses contact. I think he's a decent guard off the triple threat too.
Yeah.
He uses contact well. The little I don't know what it's called. It's some step. Like the shoulder bump,
Yeah.
right there, and then the right-handed floater right in front of the rim. Do that. Do that.
Yeah.
You're muscling Giannis out of the way. You can muscle OG Anunoby out of the way.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, OG's a good defender, but knock him off his feet, right? Because OG is one of those guys that he's not like someone that you can't keep off balance. Like he's got good balance, but I think you can catch him off balance when you're
Yeah.
doing that. Because I've seen OG make some kind of clunky plays at times, right? He's not the smoothest.
Especially, yeah, at the end of game one. He was terrible on defense at the end of
Yeah,
game one, if you remember that.
yeah. I mean, it's going to be curious because I'm curious because I just feel like when you look at New York, they played a great game in Game Five, right? They were just
Yeah.
so intense. They played a slow
All credit.
pace. They played great defense. They just kind of took Indiana right out of their game from the jump. I expect Indiana to punch back. I expect Indiana maybe to throw the first punch. I think New York's going to punch back. I think this is going to be the toughest game of the series so far because I think both teams know what's at stake. Obviously, New York on the brink of elimination, but the Pacers also know they do not want to go back to Madison Square Garden for a game seven. So this is why I think you're going to get all the haymakers thrown, and it's going to be a battle of strength versus strength and who can outlast the other, who can attack the other team's weaknesses the most. But New York still did not shoot the ball well in game six or game five, excuse me. They did not shoot the ball well. And so are they due for a good shooting night at some point? Yes, maybe, but it doesn't have to be on the road. And I don't think it will be because I think shooting on the road can be more difficult than people realize. Even though Indiana did have a great game seven last year and shot the lights out against against the Knicks in game seven,
Mhm.
I don't see that being the same case for New York in this one.
Mhm.
And one thing I want to throw at you too is Mitchell Robinson, the impact that he's had in this series. Does it feel like he has more of an impact at home than he does on the road, though?
Absolutely, absolutely. That game five was probably the most. I think that was the most impactful he's been all series.
Yeah,
That game five easily was the most impactful he's been all series. He only had 6 points, 3 of 3 from the field, but he had 6 rebounds. He had two blocks, and he had a lot of forced turnovers. A lot of forced turnovers. And I mean, Mitch is just that one of those guys who I wouldn't call him skilled, really. He's just big, tall, and athletic.
Yeah.
He's just one of those big guys that you just throw out there and say, "Hey, go disrupt this. Go mess them up. Go get in their head." And you know what sucks is we have somebody like that, but unfortunately, he's nursing an Achilles injury.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it sucks. We have somebody like that, and we had another guy who could probably do something against him. But what is he injuring? What is he nursing? An Achilles injury,
Yeah.
and he's not even on our roster. You
Yeah.
know,
I
and
think
this
Isaiah
isn't saying that
Jackson like might be the biggest loss in this series the Pacers don't have this time.
easily. Easily. I said that Isaiah was going to be a huge loss in the Cavs series. Now we're feeling his absence. Now
Yeah.
we're feeling his absence because like Isaiah is only what like 6'10", I think, 6'9", 6'10".
Yeah, I think it's 6'10", 6'11", around there.
Yeah, around that. Mitch is like 7'1", 7'2", but Isaiah is incredibly athletic.
Oh my
Isaiah
God.
is stupid athletic.
I
I mean,
hope
he
this
was the
Achilles
first
injury
guy.
does not impact his athleticism.
I really hope so. I really want him to come back because he's the perfect backup for Miles.
Yeah, it's
He is everything that people say Miles isn't. So if you have Miles having a bad game on the boards, throw in Isaiah. He's gonna
yep.
catch lobs. He's gonna get a rebound. He'd be fantastic in this series. But we can't talk about what we don't have. We can talk about what we have. And I hope Tony Bradley's all right. I really
Yeah.
do. I hope he's all right because I mean it worked. It worked. Say what you want. It worked in game two. When we subbed him in the first quarter when Thomas hurt his hand and Miles headed to the locker room, we subbed him in. I thought, what are we doing? Are we just forfeiting tonight? What, we just get the split and we're just happy with it? But no, he was disrupting.
Yeah.
He doesn't you look at his rebound numbers, he doesn't have the most. I think he had like 3 at the most. But those like batting the ball away, muscling Mitchell Robinson out of the way. Tony Bradley's just a big dude who we can throw in there and just say, hey, go make life hell for him. And
Yeah.
he'll do that. And I hope, what does he have? Like a hip injury, like a hip strain or
Yeah,
something?
hip flexor, I think is what they said.
Hip
So,
flexor. Yeah, he was questionable to return, which is a good sign because he wasn't ruled out completely. We just didn't sub him back in. So
yeah. I
hopefully, I think hopefully he'll be back tomorrow, and hopefully he can sub in for about like 5, 7 minutes. That's really all we need, big man. 5, 7 minutes,
yeah.
and just go flail your arms around like one of those wacky inflatable tube men at the used car sales.
Yeah.
Just go flail your arms around and disrupt, get those balls out.
Yeah, he went 2 of 2 on his free throws,
There you
which
go.
something Pascal wasn't doing in game 5, so you got to give him
Oh my
credit there.
God,
But yeah, I
absolutely.
feel like he's just a little bit sturdier down low, can really push Mitchell Robinson around. And you
Yeah,
saw them go to Thomas Bryant when they pulled Mitchell Robinson out of the rotation.
terrible.
Thomas Bryant first play of the game that he's in.
Block dunk. Block dunk.
It's like, I mean, my goodness. And then he was crying about a foul and he's jumping up
It gives
high.
up an and one. Gives up an
Yes,
and one on the other end.
I know. It's just what's funny today too, Cammy, is for what I do for my living for work wise, I do shipping and delivery for a company, an engineering company. And what's really funny is I was driving to make some deliveries today for some hot parts to a customer, and on my way to the delivery place, I see Thomas Bryant walking in the middle of nowhere with his 2 dogs. And I just thought this is the most random thing I've ever seen while I've
When
been
was
out
this?
driving. This is today when I was driving for work, like
Oh, maybe
today,
he's soul.
around like
Maybe he's soul searching. Who
maybe he
knows?
is. I after I got done delivering and I drove back, I didn't see him again. I didn't want to startle him and be like, "Hey, Thomas Bryant, go Pacers!" I didn't want to say anything like that. So I just looked at him and he had like this weird scowl on his face, and I'm like, "Man, this guy is probably just dealing with some stuff right now because it's been a rough series for him after having a pretty good game 5 against the Cavaliers." So
Yeah.
he's another guy that could benefit from having the home crowd behind him as well. I think if Tony
Mhm.
Bradley can't play, if there's some way they can maybe get Thomas Bryant a 3 in the corner where he makes a shot, right? Like, because when he hits a corner 3 and then he gets a rebound and then gets a dunk, like that is going to just like,
Ah,
yeah, it's going to ignite the crowd. I'm not saying that, he's been awful in this series, but I think
yeah.
everybody kind of said the same thing about Mathurin before game 4. And then all of a
He
sudden he's
bounced
kind of
back.
proven because everybody was saying Mathurin can't play in the series. Then all of a sudden,
That
game
was
4, game
stupid. I
5,
don't know why people said that.
it's because they don't watch his team. You know that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh, sorry, my bad. Roy
You know
Hibbert. Yeah,
that.
you're right.
This is the only time they
Yeah, of
watch us is in the playoffs. So
course.
But I get it. Mathurin wasn't playing well in the minutes he was out there, and it's been rough at times. But a lot of options here for Carlisle to play with, and I'll be curious to see what he does. Does he go back to what's got him here so far? Does he dip into the Jarris Walker well a little bit more? Find ways to get Jarris more involved potentially. I know there's been people crying for it and saying we need Jarris in this series. And my first thought was always to be kind of dismissive of it, just because I didn't think Jarris was ready. But when I saw Tony Bradley go into game two, I said, "Hey, anything's on the table now. Don't rule out anything." Rick Carlisle is willing to try anything, and maybe there was something they like there with Jarris that's going to have an impact in game six.
There's something I like there with Jarris because I've realized the best way to defend Brunson is put big bodies on him. Big
Yeah,
physical bodies, guys who can move their feet from side to side, guys who aren't afraid to get in contact. And Jarris, as we saw last night, is one of those guys. He played 13 minutes and he had a +5, you know?
yeah,
He impacted the game. He impacted the game. And he was doing pretty well when we made that little run in the second half. So I think there's a well to be explored there. I think Jarrett should definitely play. I think Ben should be the sixth man. I hope Tony's all right if we could give us 5 minutes. Thomas Bryant, I mean, can catch lightning in a bottle hopefully at home. Pascal, I mean, he was 5 for 13 from the field, 4 of 8 from free throw line. He has to be better. He has to be better. Miles, oh my God, we didn't even talk about Miles that much. Man, it's
give me your Miles thoughts.
Uh, I think this series, I don't want to say it's exposed him, but this series is really probably the most physical center lineup he's had to play against. I'd say so.
Yeah,
Because man, those guys are just going in on him, throwing bows, just exploiting everything that they say Miles has weaknesses in. They've scouted him perfectly, unfortunately. And I mean, even in drop coverage, I mean, I think he hit the first shot of the game last night, but
yep.
then he hit one other shot. He hit one other shot.
And how many turnovers
And
did he have?
four
Yeah,
turnovers, 3 fouls, 2 rebounds.
5 points.
2 rebounds.
Yeah, he's
Six
been bad all
eleven.
series.
Man. And I mean, I'll say this, in game 4 and in game 2, he was doing all right in boxing out, not getting rebounds, but keeping guys away from the ball. He wasn't even doing that. He was getting out muscled. He was getting
Yeah,
out
in game
muscled.
five, he was
And
terrible. I mean, he looked nervous.
awful.
He
He
looked
did.
nervous.
He
And
looked nervous. And yeah.
I,
And I will say, Miles is maybe the guy who benefits the most from the home crowd.
yep,
We've
yep,
seen him go on some heaters. If you remember that game 6 against Milwaukee last year,
yep.
when he hit all those threes, the crowd started chanting his name. We need him to get going. Catch him in the corner at the top of the key where he won't miss. In drop coverage, again, Cat, he's got asthma. He's got asthma. Attack him off the dribble. You
Yeah.
know, just go take those shots, man. We need more. We need more than 3 field goal attempts. That's just pitiful to look at.
I mean, the whole starting group was just terrible last night. I mean, I think I wrote it down last night. They were 13 for 39, and then Jalen Brunson and Towns were 22 of 38. So they took less field goals, only one less field goal than the entire starting five from the Pacers, but they made nine more attempts than the Pacers did. So that to me is like kind of indicative of what happened. But you're right. Miles is one of those guys where this series has really exposed his weaknesses because they're asking him to guard a very talented offensive center in Karl Anthony Towns on the perimeter,
Mobile,
and he cannot do
mobile
that. That's
center.
not his game. And then you also throw in Mitchell Robinson, who is just bigger than him, more athletic than him, quicker than him, and that can muck things up too for what he's trying to do. So I think that if you look at what the Thunder bring, if they do make it to the finals, like I think Isaiah Hartenstein, we kind of saw how that worked out last year against the Knicks.
Yes.
Miles wasn't perfect in that series, but I think he found ways to attack that. So we'll see exactly if if they get there how that plays out. But yeah,
Isaiah
I
Jackson,
know
man,
the Celtics series. Remember that they had to pull Miles out because
man.
he was bad, and they had to play Isaiah and everything because he's just more switchable, was able to stick with guys, and I think that would have been the case in this Knicks series at times. I think they would have had Miles out of the game.
Sucks, sucks. I really get. If you're watching this, get well soon, Isaiah. We need you next year, man.
Yeah, I would love to know that Isaiah Jackson is watching this podcast. That would be terrific. But Cammy, Game Six,
Yes.
your prediction? What happens?
Man. Hopefully the Road Warriors don't come out from New York. Really,
What
I
are you
really
What are you
hope so.
thinking? What are you expecting?
I think big, and we're gonna throw him with a big haymaker to start off, like a big one, Like what they hit us with to start last night, I think we do that. I think they find Tyrese open. I think Tyrese gets cat on one of those switches. And like you said, I mean, I forgot to mention this. I'm sorry that I'm bringing it up right now. Do you remember earlier on in the season, there was specifically a play against Orlando? It was, I think, the Orlando game that we lost. It was either the one in November or it was like the fourth game of the season. Where actually, I think it was the one in November, the one where they
Okay.
didn't have Paolo. We lost by 4 points. That last possession of the game, Tyrese was playing out of screen. He was completely out of screen, and they were running a 4-on-4 where he was basically non-existent, right? And the thing with that is, I understand playing 4-on-4 using the guy as a decoy, but he has to be aggressive. He has to be. You can't just do that and the guy's just not going to shoot. You
Yeah.
can't do that because he's just not a threat. At that point, you basically are playing 4-on-4, and then they're gonna leave him open, and then he still won't shoot. He's gonna do one of those like drive 360 spin passes.
Yeah.
That's it's not good. I think he's due for a big one. He's due for a big one tomorrow. I think he silences all the doubters, everybody. I'm sure he saw, I'm sure you saw, I'm sure he saw that clip of the Knicks fans beating up that blow up doll
Oh,
with
I
his
saw
face
that.
on
Yeah.
it
What's up
last
with
night.
that?
Man, I don't know, but listen, very bold of them to do that when they're still down 3-2.
Yeah.
And I think tomorrow a lot of crow is going to be eaten, if you know what I mean. A
Yeah.
lot of crow is going to be eaten.
So
I
your
think we
prediction is
come out.
Pacers win game six?
My prediction is Pacers win game 6, and I think screw it, I'll go old school. You can put that on the front page, put that on the back page, put that on the middle of the page. Headliners, column 1 or 2, Pacers win game 6.
All
I've
right.
said
So we
my
got the Cammy
prediction.
guarantee.
Yeah, guarantee. Shout out Rasheed Wallace with a guarantee. You know, Pacers in 6. This is exactly how I envisioned the series going. I expected them to come back in Game 5. They didn't. Hoping they would surprise me. They didn't surprise me. But I think now, a lot of mouths get zipped shut. I think a lot of tweets get deleted. A lot of bookmarks get unbookmarked, and a lot of receipts will be handed out. Pacers
All
in
right.
6, baby.
Pacers in six. Facci gave the guarantee on our last episode. So I'll go right there with you guys. I'm going to guarantee a Pacers win as well. Pacers win game six. It is my pre-series prediction. It's Facci's pre-series prediction, and like you said, it was your pre-series prediction, as well as almost everybody else I saw in Pacer Nation. Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star, Caitlin Cooper. I think she said Pacers in six is her guess. I believe Samson Folks said Pacers in seven. Tony E said Pacers in six. And if there's anybody else I'm missing, I feel like the majority of people said Indiana would win this series in six, thinking it would be a little bit longer than the previous two, but because this team is better in my opinion. But I agree with you guys. I think it's gonna be a close one, but I think Indiana's gonna pull it out in front of their home crowd because they've been so resilient and so relentless
Absolutely.
all playoffs long.
I-
And I
if
feel
we're
like,
being if we're being honest, this series should be over. It should be a sweep. It really should have been a sweep.
yeah. I mean, everybody keeps telling me that, and I agree they should have won game three, but come on. Game one, that was a gift wrapped to, that was a
I
gift
guess so.
given to the
What
Pacers.
goes around comes around.
So I'm okay with the split there, but the game five performance cannot happen
Tomorrow.
again. Game six,
Tomorrow.
they got to play better. They will. They'll make the adjustments. And I think Aaron Neesmith is going to play. He's going to have a good game. He's going to look rock solid defensively once again. I know game four was just fantastic. I don't think we get a Tyrese Halliburton game four, uh, repeat. But I wouldn't be surprised if we
Give
see
me
a
give
Pascal
me
Siakam.
25.
Yeah,
Give
25
me
from him.
25,
I
Tyrese.
think Pascal
Yeah.
scores over 30 again in game six.
You saw how mad he was after the post press conference. You
Yeah, I
saw how
saw that.
mad he was. You saw
Yeah.
that, man. I think he's ready.
Yeah, he's not gonna let what happened in game five carry over to game six. But Cammy, I appreciate your time, man. This has been a lot of fun. I know it's always a lot of fun doing these podcasts. Usually we do post game recaps, so doing a preview is a little bit different. And there's no Facci here as well. But
Question.
yes,
Question. Do you think the chemistry continues even though this is before the game?
I don't know. Does it work that way?
I don't know. This is the first time we've ever done it before the game. Are we heading into uncharted territories? Is this just going to be an overtime that never ends?
I hope not. Right? A quadruple
Yeah.
overtime, wouldn't that be something?
That'd be awesome if we win.
If we win, if we lose, I mean, just imagine how devastating that'll be.
There is no if when we win.
Okay, when we win, Cammy guarantee. Pacer Nation, thank you all so much for tuning in to another recap here on the podcast. Facci and I will be back to recap game six, win or lose. If you are wondering where the YouTube video is for Game 5, I do apologize. It will not be up. There was a lot of video lagging at the beginning, and I just didn't feel like the quality was worth putting on there. But with that being said, hoping the Pacers can figure this one out. And Cammy, we always end this episode by saying, let's go Pacers. So I'll set you up. I want you to answer me with the let's go Pacers at the end there. So, Cammy, if you believe the Pacers are going to get this series one after, what are you doing with this cameraman? I can't even see.
I'm putting it in front because I'm trying to be dramatic here.
I know I can't even see it. It's just the top of the hat.
There you go.
There we
There
go.
you go.
Anyway, so Cammy, if you're thinking the Pacers are gonna end this series in Game 6, then hit me with those three words.
Matter of fact, I got something for you. I got something for you, Alex.
Okay. Oh my goodness. We gotta always have Cammy leaving the screen to come back whenever we're doing these podcasts.
Well,
So
he's back. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go Pacers.